Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing while I read the invocation. Heavenly Father, we ask that you bless us with your presence here today. Grant to us the freedom to see all things in true perspective. Grant to us the patience to hear one another with open minds and hearts. Grant us the strength to meet all present challenges. May all that we do this day bring honor to you and credit to ourselves. Amen. All right, let's take a little roll call here. Jim? Actually, I can do this pretty easily. All are present except for Scott Safford. Did he call in?
I believe he had a conflict with.
Okay, so
He mentioned that.
He mentioned it at the last meeting and he wouldn't be
All
here.
right, so Scott Safford has an excused absence. First up, I am on our agenda. We're going to do an agenda change. It has come to the attention that the minutes have not been approved by the clerk, so we are going to table those until the next official meeting in March. Do I need a second on that? Do I need a motion?
Table.
Motion to table?
So moved.
Second?
So moved. Jane Fonda.
All in favor, say aye.
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 But a question, can we input to the clerk?
I don't know that we can. I mean, at this point, isn't
I mean, I was prepared to
she's going to
make
go.
some brilliant remarks about the minutes, but.
Hold on to those till next. Let's see what kind of changes they come up with. I think they still have to read through this
okay.
again.
Okay,
They're pretty rough.
yeah,
So I think that they have not been through their second and third checks yet either, besides not going to the clerk.
all right.
Let's see what shows up next and table those for. Very good.
Okay.
I read those. They're rough minutes. So moving along, we're going to open up the public hearing for the approval. Where's Sarah? Do you want to read what we're here for first?
The request is for a special exception for by the Lani Kai. The request is for essentially a temporary stage that on the property, and the requirements for the special exception is because it is located in the environmentally critical zoning district, and the request for approximately 30 days is required by section code 6-366, favorable locations, which is as near the EC line as possible, and section 366B2, which doesn't allow the permit of minor structures such as a stage, but can be done exception. That's the reason why we're here. There has been notification sent and signs posted at the property.
Do you have somebody from the applicant?
Everybody's
got to be sworn in.
Before you proceed, anyone who's going to testify in this matter needs to be sworn in. It is a quasi-judicial item. So anyone who's going to testify, can you please raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Witnesses have been sworn, and also in accordance with the applicable procedures that have been adopted by the town, it would be appropriate for all of the LPA members to disclose any ex parte communications you may have had concerning this item before you proceed.
Hey, Dan, do you have any ex parte communications on this?
No, I have none.
Tim?
I have none.
I have none.
None.
None from.
Ex parte communications have been disclosed.
And so, basically the staff has provided you kind of a summary of their application as best as possible. It was on short notice. There is a timing issue related to their request, obviously with spring break, and there was some suggested conditions that we could put together in the short term for your consideration to help you with your discussions. I'll turn it over to the applicant.
For the record, Robert Baran, I'm the corporate attorney for the Lani Kai LP. This is the first time in 18 years we've been required to do this, so we're here to get the special exception and get on with the show. This is for the Cincinnati firemen, who's one of them's here, the leader's here. The money goes to charity, to the Shriners Club. The Shriners Club's here to support this. Not a big money maker for the Lani Kai, it's a big money maker for the charities. So we'd ask that you give them the consideration and give us the approval so we can put the stage up. By the way, this is really not construction. Nothing goes in the ground. It's more like a big sled than anything else. But that's what we're here for. I'll answer any questions that you have if I can.
How long is the event?
What is it, 2 weeks?
Event, I'm sorry, the event is March.
State your name for the record.
Angelo Scarlato. My name's Angelo Scarlato. I'm with Cincinnati Firefighters. I've been on the fire department since 1989, been coming down here since 1995, been at the Lonnie Kai since 2010, raising money for charity. We've raised over $130,000 so far for local charities here. We don't take any of that money home. To answer your question, our event is 10 shows or 11 shows in 13 days.
What is the time, the date? start?
March 7th through 19th, no show on the 11th or 16th, I believe. And all the shows are at 1:30 in the afternoon, so nothing runs into the evening to disturb anybody at night.
So I guess the question, maybe this, I should table this. Is this stage going in the same location as last year, is the year before that, and the year before that? There's no movement on this?
Exactly the same. Put it all back in storage and leave it till next year when we need it again.
Days as opposed to the 2-week period that it's active?
That would, oh.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Is there a reason why we're asking for 30 days instead of the 2-week period that it's active?
I would assume construction, demolition, they be on the safe side, they ask for the 30 days.
Are there any plans to use this for anything else, like a surprise concert, anything of that sort, something that shows up in town?
Just a matter of constructing it a week or so ahead of time, having the fire department come out, I assume, and inspect it. Then it gets torn down and put away. So they like to allow a week or two because of the weather or whatever. This is the only event that it's used for that I'm aware of.
Do you have any questions for him,
Nothing further.
Dan?
Yeah, I have a couple.
for it.
You mentioned that you haven't needed a permit in the past. Why? Is something changed this year that has required you to build in the EC zone that I don't know?
No, so frankly, the staff exchange with the applicant and their attorneys of asking for this, it's evolved over time, whether it was politically or some other reasons why, or changes of opinion, but frankly, there's been, last year they got I think they got building permits. I think there's a couple years. Have for the last 3 years been imploring them to get the special exception to take care of it, so it's not an issue moving forward. We've got records that show 10 years ago they tried to do it. I mean, it's been an ongoing conversation. By the code, we just amended the EC zoning district. By the code, if you remember, we reviewed the EC zoning district and we're removing, changing some of the uses that were allowed in there. This didn't change, but it's one of those uses that required a special exception. I can't answer to why ultimately. Yeah.
But it should have.
Yes, in my reading of the records, most of it has been every year, okay, next year you're gonna do it, and different people, different times, things changed and never got followed. So we hope that this would resolve and put to bed that issue, and then
That answers my next question about why file the application till the 18th, is you had never done it before.
Pick up the phone, call the town manager, he would say, no problem, bring this down, that down. I'd bring it down, and that was the end of it. This year, policy, whatever changed, so we're just jumping through.
And that was confirmed, the town manager did ask the town council specifically about that issue since it came up. It brought it to a meeting again, and they confirmed their belief that it's been required and that they need to help them. Obviously, they've got a March here to be in compliance, so.
But a lot of people have deadlines that, it seems that a lot of people have deadlines and wait months and months and months to get to this process, so that's why I was asking about the expediency.
You don't have a full staff report, you don't have a full analysis. We do that to meet this deadline, so obviously there's some conversation to go on here.
And just one more question, since it according to the drawings, it's not actually a temporary stage, it's going to be a wood constructed stage, will this be inspected?
Yes.
Or is it required to be inspected?
Yeah, but I understand the fire inspection last year, and they do get a building permit for that temporary structure.
No other questions?
It would take a week to get the fire department out there to inspect it after it's been put together? I mean, we do special exceptions and then all on one day and then everything's torn down on one day, you know, when they have, you know, an event. So I don't understand why there's a 30-day thing when the event is from the 7th to the 19th. I would think, you know, maybe give them a few days to get the fire department there, maybe the March 4th to the 20th. It could come down on the 20th before the weekend.
That's up to you. I can't speak for the, but I know our inspectors generally can be available within.
Yes, Tim?
I have a couple questions based on the construction of the stage. And one is just for my information. On packet page 41, it shows a picture of the stage in construction, and one highlighted in green, 2x6 joist, 16-inch, and I guess that's on center. Is that what it means?
Asking the wrong guy.
Okay, second question. On packet page 40, it shows the location of a 30-inch high stage with 1.5 inch PVC railing, 36 inches high. Is there a reason there's no railing up and down the stairs? Or is it something just got missed on the drawing?
Will be inspected. If there's, that's another reason for the extra time. If somebody does go out there and decide that there does need to be a railing here, or this is wrong, there's got to be time to correct all that.
Oh, you raised your hand?
In the past,
No. Come up to the, and state your name.
In the past years, that there is a railing on that, on both the stairs up and down?
Just missing from the drawing.
I assume, I don't know. I never seen the drawing. All I see is the stage that we perform on. But there is a railing on, actually two hand railings
On
on,
each side.
one on each side
Of the stairs?
of the, yes.
Yes. Okay, that's my only questions.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that goes to the merits of this, which I think is kind of interesting. It's been 20 years and all of a sudden we decide they have to do this. But I'm just curious, Bob, in one affidavit, the owner is shown as Lanikai Island Resort, Inc. In another affidavit, the owner is shown as Lanikai LP, one a corporation and one a limited partnership. I want you to clarify that, see who is the actual owner of this property.
Clarify that. LP owns the Lanikai sits on. The Lanikai Island Resort, Inc. is the tenant. They rent from the Lanikai LP. Therefore, they are the ones that are in control of the property and should be pulling the permit. But the property is actually owned by the Lanikai LP.
And Conaderis Management Company is the manager of the LP. Yeah. Okay, I got it. Good. I have nothing else.
Follow-up questions?
Jason, with this kind of activity, don't they usually require porta potties and things like that for the crowd that's there? I mean,
That generally gets handled through special event process, and it gets dealt with on that. The special exception is just for the structure within.
Okay.
So they do still have a special event that has been approved in the past
Okay.
with those criteria and those conditions related.
Any other questions? Does it have to be side of the coastal construction line? It seems to be our line in the sand here, whether or not we go beyond that or not. My question is, does it have to be that far out from, can it be moved on this side of this?
The EC line runs through the building. It runs through the next building next door. Remember, these buildings were constructed in the 70s, so they're all built over the EC line. We keep moving that line back.
It's not the CCL line that's an issue, it's the zoning district, the EC
Okay.
zoning district. And they may not necessarily be in line with each other.
The stage is built as close to the building as it can be built, maybe 6-8 feet out.
It actually touches the stage, the permanent stage is there.
Yeah. Just an
It's abutting a permanent structure.
It's not there is a permanent stage there now, and this
Yeah.
will be come off of that stage.
Right.
Which is as close to the building as we can get.
Right.
And the building's underneath, so there's no other place to put it. Except the front parking lot, which kind of defeats.
Will this stage just be used for the firemen, or will there be other things? So you really only need it from the 7th to the 19th? But I understand it takes time to
Yeah.
build it, take it down, all
Takes
that
time
kind
to
of
build,
stuff.
it takes time to get down.
My,
it takes
my
time
question
to
is,
get
will you
fire
be using
department.
it if it gets set up, say, in one day? Will you be using it from the 2nd of March to the 7th?
He can't speak for the
We get here on the 5th, I believe, we check in, and we will probably do a couple of practice runs on it in the afternoon after everybody leaves, so we get spatial recognition of where, so we might start messing with it on the 5th, just practicing.
Where this goes up, and then all of a sudden there's a country concert, there's other things that show up on the stage that was not, I guess at this point, I guess it was permitted for, because it wasn't out in the open what was going on, so now it is. But I think that's where our questions are coming from, am I correct on this? What's it going to be used for?
It does get double used by the people who use the backstage. They move forward to the new stage, and
Yeah.
they do all their bikini contests and their ugly leg contest and all those things, and they all use that. So I do think that we do need to limit the use of it for those days,
mean-
and maybe limit the time that it's there. There's no reason for it to remain up. When we don't allow other special events to stay up past when they're done.
Well, what I'm getting at is that we've got Shriners here, and we've got the fire department here with this idea that this is what it's going to be used for. And it gets blown up because it's there. We get the rock concert, we get this concert and that concert. And I just, this is their intent. You guys showed up in front of us. I just want to make sure that's what we're voting on and that's what we're using it for. I'm fine with that, if that's what it's.
I mean, I can't tell you that somebody won't get up there and preach a sermon on
Yeah, I
Sunday
get
or
it.
whatever, but it's put up, it's used, it's taken down. Trust me, we want to get it up and down as quickly as possible, because it's, and not only is the fire department inspected and the building department inspected, but OSHA's got to inspect it, our insurance company's got to inspect it. So, and it's season, it's March. It's getting off and on this island is not the easiest thing. I don't know.
All right, does town have anything else to add?
No, just clarification for public record, I disagree with the context that it's sudden. This has been a long time coming and has been, at least in my three years here, has been a discussion. So I just, for the public's knowledge, just want to make sure this is not overnight. This has been a decade plus. I know it seems sudden to you, but it's.
I appreciate you coming back out and
Just want it to
public
be-
meeting.
yes.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for the town or for the applicant? Okay.
You can close the, or we'll open up to
Public
public comment
comment.
and then close the public comment.
Anybody here for public comment? Opening up for public comment. No one is here. I'm closing public comment. Opening up for, do I hear a motion?
I'd like to discuss the dates. I would like to reduce the dates, and I don't see any problem with it coming down on the 20th. That's still a workday, weekday, that they can get it down. I just think that it will be used for other things if it's allowed to be up there, because the stage is behind it. They're going to come forward, so I recommend that it be removed on the 20th.
So you'd like to add a recommendation of reducing the date?
Maybe
Council.
March 4th through the 20th, because that will give them 3 days for inspections, and they don't even arrive until the 5th. So I think that, and I would also like to request that railings be put on each side of the stairs. They say they've been there before, but I want to have it on the schedule to be there.
Okay. Anyone else have any recommendations, comments on her recommendations? Are you in favor of them? Do you agree with them? Don't agree?
I don't have a problem with them. I by no means want to stand in the way of you guys having a charitable event, so.
Right, I don't either.
It's just a little upsetting that this has been going on so long without having to come before anybody. And the fact that a lot of people wait a long time to get to this spot, and this got moved up in 2 weeks is angering, to say the least. But again, I'm not going to stand in the way of letting you guys have your event, because it does raise a lot of money.
Do you agree with the time frame? The 4th
Yeah, I
or
don't
the
have a problem
20th?
with that,
Okay.
no.
Anyone else have any comments on the time frame or adding of those railings?
What was that time frame again?
The 4th through the 20th. The event doesn't start till the 7th. and
How
it's
much
over-
were you adding to what they were asking for?
I was taking away from January, 3 days at the beginning. They have 3 days to, actually 4 days to get it, 3 days to get it together before they use the stage and get their permits. And the day after, the 19th, they close, so on the 20th, they can take it down.
I'm struggling with that kind of time frame for the front end of that. For by the time, like you say, by the time they get it constructed, they get it, get all the people scheduled to inspect this thing. You are going to need a good 7
But
days.
pardon my interruption, but wasn't the testimony that it's already pretty much assembled?
It's already
It's built, it
assembled.
just
They have
needs
it
to be
there.
put together?
Yeah, it's just put
It doesn't
together
have to
every
be
year.
constructed from scratch, or
It's
does it?
stored right there.
It's stored away, it comes out.
And what do you feel is a realistic time frame to get this thing assembled?
In the past, they've done it in a day or two.
Okay. Okay, with
But
those
that's,
dates.
that, again, is you go get the stuff, and you're a builder, you go get the stuff and something's broke, something's missing.
Well, if
So,
you do
I
a
mean-
little planning and you call the fire department and the people who have to do the permits and ask them if they would be available for the 6th, the day before, they would probably put it on their calendars. So I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Applicant feel that's realistic, I don't have
Yeah.
a problem with it.
It's already all at the Lani
Right,
Just gotta come up and speak,
right.
because he's asked for a couple of days to rehearse.
In the past, I know they started construction on the March 1st usually, and then March 2nd, late in the day, they get it done, sometimes early March 3rd. So if
3 days should be
it
fine.
needs another day or two to be inspected, and, because I don't want to show up on the 5th and be like, hasn't been inspected yet, can't practice, and then we don't get, that's my concern. They hadn't asked for the after date. If we do get rained out a day, we'll have a show on the 20th. So we get all the shows in and make as much money as we can for the charity.
Well, you got this on the agenda in 2 weeks. I have a hard time getting an inspection date on the calendar for 2 weeks out. Just guessing.
I can't speak for the fire department here. I don't know. They're
Please state your name for the record.
We've already closed this.
Oh, no, they get rebuttal.
Harrison Crossland.
They get-
I am a licensed Florida contractor as well as being the past president of the Shriners. In dealing with Cape Coral, I deal with every day, you're not going to be able to get inspections scheduled until you've got an approved permit. To get an approved permit, we need approval from this body and apparently from city council as well. So now you're pushing it out. Next city council meeting is on the 4th. Okay, he's coming in on the 5th. Okay, so where does our time frame come for the city to allow the inspectors to go out pre-permit? Basically is what you're asking.
No. Jason, is that correct, that the town council isn't going to hear this until March 4th?
March 2nd.
March
March
2nd.
2nd, so they can't do it any further than...
And
You can't even start
I believe they
building
have
until
their building permit request in. I'll check today. I think it's
Okay.
been reviewed and it's just being held.
Well, that takes away the upfront days, so it doesn't really matter because they have to have an approval from the town council to do anything. So we can eliminate the front end, but there's no reason for the stage to remain after the show's over. So it should come down on the 20th.
I have one comment about coming down on the 20th, and he raised a very good point that if there's a rain day, can they move that rain out, if you will, performance to a later day? So I would rather look at it from the standpoint of, based on their last show, X number of days, like say 2 days after their last show, it would be the deadline as
And no
as
later
opposed
than-
to giving them a hard date to have it down by?
Last day, because everybody else has to have their things done, cleaned, and cleared up on the same day as they end.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, if there's a rain day or even 2 rain days, that pushes them back to make their money for the
I agree.
performance by 2 days. If they can stick around till the 20th, 1st and have the shows, and then say, okay, at the end of your last show, you have 1 day or 2 days to remove the stage, as opposed to giving them a hard day, because if there's a rain day, they're gonna miss out on the performance by giving them a hard date to have the stage down by. That would be my only thought.
Within 2 days of the last show?
Within 2 days of the last show.
Yes, and the council approves, it runs with the land, so it's, their schedule can change. So I don't know if that's part of your consideration, but I understand the 2 days after, their schedule could add a week, change a week in the future. So this runs with that. It's not event-based, it's not a special event.
All future.
This is for the stage and for future years, so.
They will not be in front of us again next year with
Correct.
this.
So they have to remain with those certain dates.
My point is, we don't dictate, we don't regulate their show days necessarily. That would be by a special event. So my concern is then we're leaving the conditions of the special exception up to a special event decision rather than.
Not really, because if we're saying it's 30 days and they never come back, they don't have to come back in front of us, it's still 30 days.
I was saying if you base it on the end of their show, which is an undefined time, right now they say the 19th or 20th, after it could be the 25th, date moves, because we don't regulate the event through this process.
Yeah, but if we give them a hard date, like suggested there, then if they decide next year to show up on the 14th of the month because of how it falls, then we've handcuffed them again.
No, and I just want to make sure that's understood,
Yeah.
that's all.
I
All right.
think that the point would be then, if you want to impose a condition on the length of the operation, then you would say it, X days before it is supposed to start, and it will end on the day after the last show.
Or we can do, the show is 12 days, we can give them a 15-day permit instead of a month, because I don't think a month is appropriate.
Remember, it takes time to put it up, it takes time to take. Michael Conadaris is the contractor. Michael Conadaris is also the guy that fixes your sewer. He's going to leave that job and go fix the sewer.
I bet he has a connection to get that done at Lonnie Kai,
Then
to
your
get it
se-
up and
Then your
down.
residents will be screaming because they don't have water.
Well,
and the sewer's
let's-
back.
I mean,
Let's
that
be
kind of
real.
feels a little bit like a threat to the citizens here just now.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm saying, that's what it
this
came across to, a citizen here who does not,
days before the event, days after the event. Maybe it rains the third day of the, March is not a rain month, so in the past, we have never had code enforcement or anybody come out there and say, I'm aware, get that stage down. Nobody's ever complained about it.
clarify this, he's gonna fix my sewers when. I'm really struggling with that being just said on public
What I'm
record.
trying to tell you is every contractor has delays. They don't, if they ever built a house down here, they're supposed to be out on Wednesday, they don't show up to the following Thursday. It's just not that easy to say, it's gotta be done within a day and a half or a day. It's not practical here in Florida to say that, especially on the beach. At March, you can't get on and off the beach that easy.
I'm
And I
sorry.
just want to avoid future problems. I don't want to get a code enforcement letter saying, it's been 36 hours since the last show. Why is that stage still up there? That's all I'm trying to avoid.
Well, it would be a good reason if we haven't had.
Couldn't we make it easier to just say that the stage is limited to the firefighters' performances? Then it doesn't necessarily have to worry about if rain delays or days at end or.
That's not going to happen.
Not gonna
That's not gonna
happen.
happen. They got a DJ who walks out there, I get it, he's hyping up the crowd and that type of thing, I've been there. I get that piece. I now have a problem with this other comment that was made here in this meeting. Citizen, I really do struggle with that now. I don't wanna get in a regulating speech. You're the one that said he wouldn't go fix my sewer,
You
and I'm a
asked me
citizen,
what was going on up there, and I said that as far as I know, it's the Cincinnati firemen, but I can't predict that somebody won't get up there and Sunday service or whatever. I'm just saying, all we want is to build this stage for a period of time for charity, and you seem to be wanting to keep it, like, you're planning that we're gonna do something deviant.
A special exception request here on Fort Myers Beach because we do hold them to a minimum. We hold them for a day to set up and a day to tear down, and it doesn't stay there and nobody else uses whatever is there, and it has to be safety. I mean, for safety, we can't have other people get on it and things like that. And the Lani Kai will move their singers out and everything else out. So there's no, we aren't opposed to what they do. We are happy to have you. We think you do a fabulous job. It is an ask to put a stage out in front of the building to do it. We're saying, yes, we'd love to have that. But we're not willing to give you a month when you're not going to be using it, and the Lani Kai will use it.
I do like the suggestion that the town attorney made, and the days up front and days after. Give it a window, because this is a future use that we're allowing here, and then satisfies you the not 30 days, but also gives them plenty of time to build the stage, plenty of time to take it down, and that seems to be a fairly decent compromise. That way, if the dates move this way or that way, you have a window.
Okay.
It's not necessarily a hard stop. I get what they're saying.
But I'd like 5 days on both ends.
That's an ask. You can ask somebody
We'd
else.
like
But
one.
Okay,
That's why
so
we're here to
I'm
compromise.
good with 5 in the front, which is what they've asked, to handle problems. They've got a window for inspections, and we have got schedules to work with here. Is the town okay with some of this, with the 5 days? Is that a reasonable amount, too?
Appropriate.
Okay.
I move to amend the motion to allow them to, time restriction between 3/7 to 3/19 with 5 days preceding and 5 days following for construction and removal.
Well, but that doesn't match it. What the problem with that, what I hear here, is that if next year come in and they say, well, the way the
the event's going to be,
event works, it doesn't start till the 14th, we've just handcuffed them, because we've met
5 days
specifically
before and after the annual scheduled time for
the event.
their performance.
I think it could be reduced to 3. I'd like to reduce it to 3.
I think the 5 up front is reasonable, because it does take time to assemble it, things are broken, you're handcuffing also our departments here that have to get over there within a certain period of time. I understand your 3 at the end.
Okay, let's do that. 5 days before and 3 days at the end to get it down.
That also gives them the idea of having 2 days for practice, if you will, included in that 5 days.
Dan,
That's
what do
true.
you think?
So if it takes over that, it's not up to us as far as, how many practice sessions they get. There's your 5 days. It really comes into, we're allowing 2 days in there for practice based on the 3 days tear down.
Do you have an opinion on this?
Front 3 days at the end.
Dan, do you have any comments on what you think of these days?
I don't have a
Change you?
problem with it as long as it passes inspection. I don't know.
I amend my amendment to 5 and 3.
Okay.
And did you also want to add the stair rails on each end?
What's that?
The stair rails on each end?
Well, that was in your original motion.
Yeah, okay,
Okay, so,
I'm not amending that.
okay.
all right, so 5 days up front, 3 days on the back end, railings, or the amendment, okay, so.
One other question, and here again, because this is for all time, do we want to talk about the limit of the length of the event?
No,
So if they want to stretch it out to 20 shows, we're still in that part.
well,
And,
not going to have,
this is the time out here.
Never say never.
Ohio
Okay.
does need their firemen back.
If you say anything, it has to be in the speaker, in the microphone, please, for record.
For 15 years, we are never going to be here for more than 10 or 11 shows. My guys got to get back to work. A lot of my young guys don't have a bunch of vacation time. I can be here for a month, but most of them can't.
Right.
So, the amended motion, if I heard it correctly, is that we amend this to allow for 5 days prior to the event for construction and inspection, and 3 days for tear down after the last show.
Do you want to add that the firemen are the only ones to use this stage for, because it is a special event for them?
Just,
That- this
just
is
the,
a-
the
That's a
special
special
event has a
event permit.
process.
That's outside of our purview. Isn't it? That's would be a special event. That's an event
That's
permit.
gonna pose an enforcement problem that I don't think anybody wants to deal with. What if somebody's just there and climbs up on it? How, are we gonna have somebody standing guard there? And
No, they do invite a lot of people up, but it's for that event. That the Lani Kai isn't to stage other
Well, that's
events.
implicit in the, is it not? Why do we
Because
have to
it-
have
You
that?
can, I would suggest is if you want to impose that, a condition like that, is that the condition be, for the for use only in conjunction with a special exception permit issued by the town.
Okay.
Special event, sorry.
Special event permit, which is what the next step would be for this too. And if they invited someone else to perform on it, they would
Right.
have to get an event permit for that too. It wouldn't cover,
Right,
so they'd still have to come and do all that.
right.
Okay. Let me get this again. Motion as it stands. They're adding a condition of 5 days prior for construction and permitting and practice, and 3 days off the beach, tear down and off the beach. And then we had another condition of hand railings to both steps, both sets of stairs.
Correct.
I hear a second.
Second. Jane Plum.
All in, more discussion?
I'm good with that.
Okay, all in,
Are you including the condition in
The-
conjunction with the special exception?
in
I mean,
conjunction with, the
special event?
okay, so I amend it again,
So amended.
to add the special exception, in conjunction with a special event permit.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for a great event for the town and,
Yes, it is.
and, for charity.
I would like to thank you all for myself.
Your Hyde Park station was a station I used to go to when I was a kid and get candy and stuff.
We still hand it out.
I went to Hyde Park Elementary, and walked right by it on my way home.
No bead. I'd like to thank you also on behalf of the, we try to keep the kids transported, and that's what the money we use. We have 3 vans that we run up to the Shrine hospitals every day. And if it wasn't for the money that they give us, we wouldn't be able to do. And help the community as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you for what you did.
Hope you have a successful.
Move on to our administrative agenda, which is recessing as a local plan agency and opening as a historic preservation board. I would like to table that until next month. I would like to next month, here is my idea, because we are not doing this board a service, is that next month's meeting will be post-election. We may or may not have a few seats on here. We may or may not have new members, but I'd like to address this when we have new members on this board, if we have them. If not, then we will address it with looking at who has not been on this board, appointing someone until we can get a more permanent resolution. We're not doing the historic factors of and historic boards and historic groups on this island any favors by continuing this and continuing this and continuing this. So if not by resolution by the town council to how to fix this, we're going to fix it by appointing somebody until we can get a resolution. But I'm going to wait until we have new members.
It's my understanding that whoever is elected doesn't take position until like April 6th.
So to that point, I'd maybe suggest tabling this section to April.
Okay, that's
Because
fine.
your next meeting is March 11th, which is the week before the election.
Okay.
And I don't believe they take their position until the first meeting in April, I believe.
I'd like to resolve this, though, after the election, if
We
should
can't even
get new-
advertise for positions or any of that until we know
Yeah.
what.
And go from there.
Well, that's the point. April 6th would be when they take position, so would the applications be looked at on the 6th, because it's the town council, the new town council, whoever they are, would be the ones who appoint somebody to us, right? So our meeting would be on the April 14th.
We have plenty of time to address it.
So would we have new people by then or not? That's the question.
On this board, I don't think it's a problem. Everyone, as soon as there's 2 openings or 1 opening or an opening on this board, there's 3 applications for it every time. I don't think that that's going to be a problem. I am putting on record that we're going to take care of this and do this. If town council doesn't do it by, a bigger discussion, just can't keep pushing all the historic needs of this island off. So we'll appoint somebody come April. We'll figure out who's been on the board, who's not been on the board. We'll go from there, and we'll do this fairly. Yes.
Jason, did I hear you say the next LPA meeting's on the 11th of March?
That would be the second, right? That was wrong?
I think it's
Second
the
Second
10th.
Tuesday, I'm sorry, thank you, 10th.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yes.
I just got a text from John Gucciardo saying, is the town not broadcasting the LPA meeting this morning? Is it not going live? It is live?
I have had to sign on to the YouTube channel and not onto the site at times.
Yeah, there's been audio but no video a lot lately.
But it works on YouTube. So if everybody's okay with that, I'm going to close my comments on the administrative pieces of the historic board. If you have comments, I'm open to them on how to resolve this. All right, opening up the next item is the LPA member items. Dan, do you have anything?
No.
Tim?
No.
Jane?
My only question is, I understand that they finished the walkover at the beach. Have they taken away all the fencing, or is that going to remain up until they redo landscaping? At the beach, at the public beach area? It's not done. Okay, so it's a shame that this has happening in the height of our spring break, or even our season. But I don't know if you've been to Times Square, everybody, but you can't go over the crosswalk, can't get onto the beach, and the whole fence down to the public beach is all fenced off, and it's taking up a lot of the public space.
I thought that variance was given with the idea that it would be done before season started.
They have to avoid sea turtle season. They have to do it during the fall and winter and spring. Obviously, they can't go past into sea turtle season. We don't have any control of their construction schedule.
Unbelievable how much they're taking
Okay.
up.
Anything else?
No.
Dan, do you have anything?
I just congratulate the PTO for their high rolling event on Saturday. It was a great event. Hopefully they raised a lot of money for the PTO.
Jim?
I don't expect you to know the answer to this, Jason, but a couple weeks ago, I praised the town for their remodeling and reconstruction of the bathrooms at Newton Park. It was great. I just noticed the other day they were completely shut down with some big caution signs all over, like there's a termite infestation, or, do you know anything about that?
I don't.
Right.
It says it's getting tented.
No, it
There's a
looks-
sign on it now that says it's getting tented.
Looks pretty bad, yeah. Okay. I'm just curious. All right, thank you.
Alrighty. Any items?
Nothing.
Jason, you have anything for us?
I don't.
What's going to be on next month's agenda?
A couple things. Not sure yet. We've got some applications kicking around. There probably will be about. For sure, you will have. I think for sure you'll have the year. That was supposed to be for this.
I was just kidding. Weren't we supposed to have something today? I didn't.
We were.
What happened, and what was that, and when will we see that, or will we see it
My
again?
intent is for you to see that in March. It was the two.
It's okay, I just was curious, yeah.
Well, it's not, but it's okay. I appreciate that. So yeah, the evaluation appraisal report, which is basically a summary of what's changed in state law that may or may not affect your comprehensive plan.
So we'll likely
There's not a lot of changes that's required. I want to be able to have time for you to go
I can't
over.
hear these guys.
I want you to have time to go over and
Go
ask
ahead.
questions, so.
The speakers aren't kicking on.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a green light. So basically, he was asking what is the year component of it. And I was trying to explain that it's an appraisal, an evaluation of your comp plan in reference to state law. It's not drastic changes or changes in visioning or policy. Generally, it's just, here's what's changed in state law over the last 7 to 10 years, and here's what you're required or mandated to change.
Can you hear?
So there's not a substantial amount of changes, just some recommended changes to be consistent with state law.
And we'll likely do that on the 10th then?
On the
March
10th, correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
I think I have one more thing, and it's from what Dan brought up earlier, is how did they get pushed through so much faster than other people? I know it's gonna come up, and it's, you know, the fact that they applied on the 18th, we got called in for one thing, and we hear something else, and I just, you know, it's a little unnerving, I'm sure, for us a little bit, but also those out there who've probably been waiting for a while to get in front of us.
Well, we don't have, okay, just for that. They're not waiting. If they're waiting, it's because discussing with them their application, thoroughness, that sort of. I will say we want to be done with this. I spent 3 years dealing with it, and part of our fear was if it next year too. And we've done this 3 years in a row, and the town records show it's been about 10 years of doing this. So get it done and not have to worry about it. It's one thing less.
If there's any changes to what because then, again, we put X in front, and next year to come and ask for Y, it will come back up in front of all the boards again. From here on out, it's out in the open.
Correct. Their dimensions and all that is part of. Any changes to that, they would have to modify that. Any substantial changes, they'd have to modify. And that was the point. Locked in, what is it? Going to be done.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to open it up for public comment. No one in attendance. I'm going to close public comment.
We do have one
Well.
person. She counts.
She does count, but she's just writing down everything we say.
Yeah.
And at that point, if there's nothing else, oh, wait a minute, one more thing. What's on the next town council's agenda? Will anything from here be on there?
The text amendments that you had before you, recent one, we had I gotta get you that picture, Jane, I'm sorry. I'll do that today. The setback with the seawall property line, on the next two. We just heard a bunch, so I'm trying to think of what else we had. The parking special exceptions.
Yes.
On that setbacks, which we approve, but I had raised the question of structures in the front yard, and it wasn't in that. You said that that's something to be considered, and maybe when you present it to the town council. I brought out that situation down there on Estero Boulevard near Williams, where the huge structure is out in the front yard, and suggested that there be an overriding restriction that you couldn't exceed the average of the homes on that street, you recall. And it was met with a groundswell of apathy by my fellow LPA members, but I still think it's something that the town council should be thinking about. And as I recall, you said something about, well, we can suggest that or something when it goes to the council.
So, have that section back before you and discuss it, or?
I don't really want it,
Well, the other option is, I was just going to say on the second, most of what you all saw last month, or this last meeting, last week, on the agenda, I'm probably not the most appropriate person to go because I wasn't here. Would you like to attend? And if that's on the agenda, as our LPA member, you can make that suggestion too, that was brought up in meeting.
I think what I was suggesting is I think that's a different policy than what, it's related, but not exactly what we were dealing with at the time. And my suggestion was that issue needs to be addressed separately and wholly, not as part of another change. Because you referenced language that is in the code about having a setback equal to what the average or the common of that street, and usually that is used as a way for somebody to have less than a 25-foot setback. It doesn't ever work out that way because most of the setbacks end up being greater. So I think that I'll call it a twist. I don't mean it that way. What you're talking about needs to be discussed in context to the rest of the code with those structures in the front yard which we define as that first 25 feet essentially. So I think I would suggest necessarily adding it on to another code change.
Wasn't redefining the 25 feet.
So,
That, we've pretty much, that's established.
except if you have a house that's 40 feet back,
Yeah.
you can have you can't have accessory structures form the front facade or in the front yard, which
Yeah.
is the first 25 feet.
An overriding exception, but it doesn't eliminate the general 25-foot setback throughout the town. It's just in a certain situations where the homes were all built way back, like on Estero Boulevard in that area, way back. It's just incongruous to have 25 feet when everything else is 50,
I don't, you're saying we need to have this as a separate discussion.
The town's measured setbacks and measured what gets added on to homes and all that, than just debating 7 versus 10 feet.
What about this? What about, because we are due for another joint session with town council, and I was kind of holding off till the new town council got in. We could put that on a list as a greater discussion as to how to handle, and get an idea of how council would like, get direction from both sides as to what to do there.
Other issues that are related to that I think you're going to want to end up discussing. Some have garages and other things that get added on. While maybe you can add them on in front of the house, they have to be accessory to, which has to do with accessory and subordinate to, has to do with size and scale. So there's some of those things that we could look at addressing that might help with that issue. So I don't think it's just a.
Well, yeah, that's another thing, just by connecting it somehow, it made it legal. And if it wasn't connected, it was illegal. And, that to me is a little
I think that's what our point is that
ridiculous.
Those conversations.
Yeah.
Detailed and need a bigger discussion, I think,
Okay.
which we're happy to have.
Agree with the approach? If not, tell me. We'll direct them to bring it back up in front of us.
Is there any other, anybody else on the council seem concerned about this?
Oh, on this one, because it thing sits out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And it's, I think it warrants a discussion.
It's had a devastating impact on the property values of the adjacent property owners, in my view. A devastating impact. I think we're here to protect property values.
So I don't think we have a resolution on it. Let's do a bigger meeting on that one, because I think it warrants a good discussion on it, and how this group plus council feels it needs to be approached. Because I agree with you, we are here to protect everyone,
Right.
Everyone's properties and property values, property rights, not just a few, so. Okay. All right, at that moment, we have closed public comment, so there's nothing else, let's adjourn this meeting. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, please.
Second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Big man.
Yeah.
We gotta identify ourselves for the
That's right.
person.